last year I spent over $20,000 on just skill development and personal development, and these are some of the things I wish I would have learned sooner. So right now, I work in sales and marketing. My name's Trevor. Really, just this morning, I started thinking about this. I was listening to a podcast, and this podcast is going through more of like the tactics, like 10 things you could do to improve your email deliverability, or not deliverability, but like the effectiveness of your emails. And so it really got me thinking of how I used to listen to so much more of this more like tactical content before I started investing more in myself. Like this tactical content's super good, but I realized like I knew a lot of it. I was hearing a lot of the same things over and over again, but didn't feel like I was actually getting better. Um, but then last year, heard Alex Hormozy. I mean, he was just absolutely blown up. He was just talking about invest in yourself, like S&P 500, s&me 500, all that sort of stuff. And so I just went all in on investing in myself. So that's how I spent well over that 20,000 mark, probably like 23,000. And that was way up from the year prior. But like, when I was thinking about it today, like once I saw that podcast of really what were the things I learned that provided the highest ROI, and I realized it wasn't actually like buying these things that would teach me more tactics, teach me how to create 10 ways to increase email deliverability, like that example, but it was actually the courses that taught me the principles. And so Elon Musk talks about principles quite a bit, like first principles thinking. Ray Dalio, like two quotes. Like the first quote, this is from Elon Musk. First principles is kind of a physics way of looking at the world. And what that really means is you boil things down to the most fundamental truths and say, okay, what are we sure is true about this? And then we reason up from there. Then on the other side of this, along the same lines, like Ray Dalio, principles are fundamental truths that serve as the foundation for our behaviors and gets you what you want out of life. I realized before I started investing in myself last year that I was focusing so much on like the tactics and hacks and like all these little ways to increase. And don't get me wrong, those things are helpful, but it's like the wrong side of that 80-20 equation. So it's like the 80% of work that you're doing that's only leading to 20% of the results. Whereas if you just learn the 20%, the principles, you end up getting so much more return. And so those have been all the biggest returns I've gotten as far as like opportunities, success out of like marketing campaigns, like just getting better at things. It's all been from learning those principles. And so now when I'm looking at different investments, it's like, what am I trying to learn and what principles? It's like some of the areas. So I was just trying to think about like general marketing principles, but I was like, okay, it is a little bit more nuanced than that. For instance, there's like the principles of the human brain, the principles of story, more like specific marketing principles for Google principles, Facebook principles. So there's all these specific things, but all these skill sets, like paying to learn those principles is what creates those outsized returns, or they have for me at least. But then going back to the whole s&me 500 and what Alex Hormozy is talking about, I really feel like shifting from not trying to make a bad investment and like, will buying this course or buying this mentorship or whatever that is end up being worth it, is like everything I've done over the last year on all 20,000 of those dollars has been worth it, and it's brought something back, if only like showing me what not to do or leading me to that next investment. But when you have clarity on where you're actually trying to go, and you're not making a distracted investment, that's when I don't think there is really a bad investment that you're making. Like the only bad investments I think I could have made are ones where I don't think I'm focused on my big goal, and they're kind of like little side quests that I'm doing. And it's not that they're bad investments, it's just like not the right thing at the right time. But now going forward of like what I want to continue investing in, it's like realizing to myself, it's just like, what skill am I trying to learn? And where can I learn those principles? Who can teach me those principles? And because that right there just takes the whole shortcut out, or just turns it into a complete shortcut. saves you so much time and not having to rediscover these principles that somebody else already knows. When it comes to these investments, is getting super clear on where you want to go, what skill you want to develop, and then figuring out like who can teach me this, where can I learn this, and then just paying for access to that. Like it's a complete shortcut to where you're trying to go. And I think that's the powerful part about it is like I just kind of started that whole SME mindset, not really understanding where I was going to get over the next year, but I can say like the amount of opportunity that's come into my life, the more money I've made, the more just like where I can see myself going. It just excites me, and I just want to double down, triple down on that, and see where I'm at this time next year.